Walaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Time to rise. Please stand for prayer. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. In the name of Allah, the Magnificent, Most Merciful, King, Person, and Master, Prophet Muhammad, Allah, praise Allah. He's magnificent, most merciful. Master of the day of judgment, and not leave. One to serve my faithful aid. He has on the right path. Not the path of doorways brought down and go square the very teachings. So he Allah is one God, Allah is infinite, we are all infinite. He's never began to beget to nothing like him. I bear witness and understand the service I am. I bear witness and understand Muhammad is the last and least apostle. Amen.
Amen.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
In the name of Allah, the Magnificent, Most Merciful, the King, person, and Master, Prophet Muhammad, all the praise and I do. And I deal with the teaching God, the most honorable Muhammad is the last, praise and Messenger of Allah. I'd like to thank you for taking the hardest job. And I'd like to greet the sisters and the brothers, perfect, and peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Yes, hey, another day.
Yes, sir.
In America. 2020. July is 17th? The 12th.
12th.
Yep, 12th July. With Corona. Well, our topic today is going to be about the judgment of the universe of corruption. And that's what we see today. So we thank Allah Muhammad for this temple he left with us.
Yes, sir.
So we may study and have an understanding of life and ourselves. It was not given to us. So when you come to the temple, you come to the door, you will be greeted by a brother, FY, soldier. We'll check you, make sure you don't bring anything in this building, wherever it might be, causing harm or danger to anyone or outside.
That's good.
You know, that's very important. So you see security all over the nation now. Air Force, court, school now, corona, you know, they're going to check you. Now it's temperatures, weapons, make sure you don't have no sickness, you know, this is really getting bad. And you know, Elijah Muhammad, you know, he was given a great divine knowledge of all these things before it even happened. Now it's happening, we live and seeing this. So after they come to the door, they come in, they see the seat arrangements set up a little different from other places. They might go to synagogue, churches, how we sit as brothers and sisters. We are not co-ed together, we are separated just for a little while to get educated on ourselves. So the brother will be on one side, the sisters on one side. People might find that strange, but it's necessary, you know, for learning. You have those, like I said, the corruption is so bad that our people attention span is real short.
Right.
They don't understand what patience is, they don't understand how to sit down because they've been given a different type of teachings instead of the right teachings. More people make it like they're bad, but some people are not given some things. Some people are missing some teachings. Some people are not getting the whole information how to go about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not their fault because in America, so that's how it's set up.
Yeah.
They keep us confused. That's why the judgment is on us because of what they have done. So once they come to the temple, they get that understanding. They know that I'm forward here. You know, I'm here and speaking out. You know, it's a university, it's a school. You see the setup is a lot different. No music, no band, no drums, none of that going on. Because a lot of them say, no, we don't need anybody. You put a boy here, you put a world map here, you put a congregating boy here, something that, you know, once you walk in, you'll see that. And you might think it's a little strange, but it's really not. To give you a better understanding of life and what's going on around you if you don't understand, but picture is a possibility. You'll see our flag. Walk over here. give you strength. It's been a long week of corruption. I tell you. But he prepares for these things. This one with the water together, this is getting board. This is a beautiful board itself. Given to us from Elijah Muhammad. This flag here was given to us from God itself. Master Father Muhammad in person. No spirit, no ghost, no entity, anything floating around. Amen. This is the only religion that teach that God is a man. And he is a man who gave us this, provided his image and likeness. That's our flag, our national. Let me step back over here again with this board. You got 4 corners square, black, brown, yellow, red. You can use it as a pillar of our teachings. It's a window. It's an eyesight. It's a window of your mind. You close your eyes at night time, you see nothing but darkness. Darkness where all our come from. The mass universe is darkness. It cannot be destroyed because the mass of it, corruption, you cannot see. You have different atoms and photons and neutrons. The circulate in this darkness can make life. So a lot came out of this darkness in the way of water and light. His mindset came from thought process. Everything comes from a thought process. You have to think about what's going on in life. Judgment. And the right. Like this day and time, they choose certain people to go into Congress or the Supreme Court in this land of American Christianity. There's a lot of corruption there.
Yes, it is.
There's a lot of corruption in this flag. The 50 states is represented now. Now we have, I believe it'll be 51 next. It's going to be 51 states. Because I think they passed so that Washington can come a state now. This is Columbia. So I don't know where they're going to put a star in this flag. Who knows? Might put to the side, might try to imitate us, but they can't.
No.
The blue represent falsehood or teaching. That's why you see them putting in the statues and stuff all in Virginia and other places all over the global country. So-called heroes that colonize people and conquer and steal and rob and rape. That's not nothing to be proud of.
No.
This is what we're talking about. This let's make America great again. That's what you're talking about? Controlling the mass of the people and enslaving them and do whatever you want to do to them, getting them to slave something to death. Use this Christianity, this cross, have them all crossed up. Allah made it clear. Your ancestors were your labor. That's what's in this flag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 white stripes in this flag represent the 6 days of the European man to rule. It represents knowledge, wisdom, white represents that. You see the river of red. You have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The blood shed he causes and shed all over this global planet. And he had done that, shed enough blood. Everywhere he goes. This sign that killed more people on the planet in a war that they don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about that sign, Constantine, he dreamed of. How they went about decimating all kingdoms under this cross. How they robbed our people, stole their history and their roots. Their mindset, how to pray to their God, how to eat, how to dress, how to behave, how to farm, how to govern themselves. They just took everything away from the people. Just gave them nothing. But the essence of love was still in them. Allowed them to be able to colonize among each other. They knew they had a common understanding of who was the open enemy during that time of slavery. They stuck together and they worked together and they built something all for themselves after they released us from slavery, so-called slavery. And we went our own like war, like we did in Oklahoma, the Black Wall Street thing. How they did for self, the W for self. They built a whole township of civilized commodity churches, had on airport, had on store, had on farmland, making clothes. They did everything like a nation supposed to do. And it was a beautiful thing. But like always, they come, conquer, kill, and destroy. Just trying to erase that away from history. And a lot of people in the university and college did not know this happened. So now, recently, they started finding more about it. They don't even know about John Hanson was the first real black president, not Obama. They're not even talking about these things, but a lot of things going to be looking up soon. You'll see. Because of these great teachings under Islam, under the guidance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who has been telling this for the last going almost 100 years now. 90 years. That's a long time. He can give us great information. Which one went to war Armageddon? Islam will. Because we definitely want freedom, justice, and equality. The red represents the sun, stars, justice, and the moon represents equality that we do need this day and time. We don't want this beautiful teaching. They walk away from it, they tend to, they just look at it and stare at it and don't want to understand it. But you have to have guidance and understanding of this teaching that allow you to go forth with your whatever you protesting against or fighting against. You have to have an understanding of what you're out there for, what you're fighting for, what you want, what you need, what you must have, to already go forward. So let's just be just a moment in time and then go back to this Christianity teaching again. And that's been happening so many times, like civil rights. They fall back into the trap. And we don't need anymore. We got to go forward now. All this got to go. Last time I wrote a book way back then, Fall of America. She got to go. Let's step back over here. We look at situations of time. We look at the judgment of university corruption. University. It's a place of learning, or you can look at the constellation of our stars and moon. How everything's in order. How everything is taking its command that been given to them. And not going out the way of being disobedient. What I mean by that disobedience, corruption. Like somebody else is giving out a command or trying to take the place of the righteous, or misleading, or lying, to keep the people in a way that they won't understand. Have a society that you're always going. If you leave the house, or you deal with people in your house, or family, or stores, or children, or grandkids, or people, your mind always going, like it's not allowing you to even just rest. Lord Muhammad made it clear that we need something of our own that we can go to and we can charge up. And we put so much out. And just in our daily life. I put myself in it. I see that for myself. I do so much. And I thank Allah for allowing me to do these things. But sometimes it can be overbearing sometimes. Yes. When you give you yourself, because that's what you're doing, you're giving yourself to people, to your family. And you're trying to explain things to them, trying to get them to understand. Get out of that corruption way of thinking. Let's get back to the real judgment of the university of way of thinking of God, who gave us this strength to go forth in our behavior, in our action, when we speak, when we just being ourselves. Because he speak about these things. Be yourself. No one should be not judging no one or imaging no one. It should not be none of that. You don't want this in the new society. In this corruption society, don't you see? That we always got to be fighting and battling all the time. You ain't got no time just to go, and we need that. And thank God for the teachings that keep us grounded. So we won't lose it. So we won't snap. So we won't go off. Because we do that, we're going to be imitating the enemy out in the world. So he give us a teaching and let us know that we're just a step ahead from that ignorance of lying lifestyle of misleading the people. And that's wrong. We want to see our people do good. We want to see our children do good. We want these things because we want it for ourselves. Because say what you want for yourself, you want for your brothers and your sisters. This is the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. He passed down a very great teachings. The people is just missing the beat. And it can bring us all together like one atomic bomb, like he said. We can come together and get an atomic bomb. We can change this overnight. There ain't got to be no years, no overnight. Like you see with the protests, you saw things changing rapidly and fast. Just doing that. Let's imagine we all come together as a people that we want economics, finance, government, we want our own nation, we want to be to ourselves. Because we can see that we can't live with this demonic society. And this is not the end. More corruption is coming, bloodshed, corona, famine, war is coming. It's missing the Bible and the Quran tells about these things. These so-called leaders and pastors and everyone else, you tell the people the truth, man. Don't pacify them and tell them, oh, it's all right, like they babies, or you tell the men, don't be men. No, don't do that. Tell the woman, don't do that. That's we going against the nature again, corruption. You're going against the grain again. We call it more corruption, where it's supposed to be about injustice. All that we have struggled and fight for and died for, march for. You come in a way you putting other things into the soup pot. How about that? When I'm talking about one ingredient, you want to put in other ingredients that is not even fit for us to eat. That's the confusion of corruption that you are doing to the universal judgment time. Turn up the fire higher, overcooking. Take away from the content that really is supposed to be focused on. Misleading us in a way that we don't have no love for ourselves or our brother or our sister or society or law or order. Not understand the content of science, how it's very important. They go with mathematics. You never will go wrong with it. 5 plus 5 will always be 10. You ain't gonna tell me it's 8 or 6 or 7. Islam is that. Direct facts. This is again the teaching of Elijah Muhammad. Stay away from those who don't mean any good. Stores might go to might be no good because they might sell more products and they might cause you harm. Then say that products that is good for you. It's hard to find that now, so a lot of times they teach us to grow our food, have a man. Corruption is everywhere in the churches, on the farm, the FDA. It's all there for profits, money. Do they ever take time to wonder about their own family, their own children? They put wealth over there. They sell them out. Don't care how they go about life. As long as they get what they want. Or take a vacation when they want to. Don't got to worry about what we go through, hustling and busting all the time. Trying to keep a roof over our head. Pay our bills, insurance. Everything is going up. But when you know, give anything back to the people. $12 stimulus, what's that? That's nothing. Anytime you got a country in Canada giving their people $12,000 every month. The society get $12,000 everybody, so they ain't have no hard time. They understand. So they pick up that understanding from Gaddafi. He did the same thing for his people. He made sure nobody won't suffer. Wherever profit that came from the oil, that people got shelled at. Make sure they got free gas, free education. They ain't had no debt. The country ain't had no debt. Our country ain't had no debt. This country was, what, $30 trillion in debt? Who knows, or more? Who knows? Globally, probably quadrillion. You know, it's sad. I have few little numbers is trying to do the will of Allah, and you got this big number doing the will of corruption. But they're trying to make like the ones who doing good is the bad guys. Those days is over. You killed so many good people for greed, to keep down the information of truth. That's not right. What kind of judge are you? What kind of Supreme Court are you? Who are you really working for? And these secret societies and all corruption. Behind closed doors, they know about the Quran. Behind closed doors, they know about the black man, the message to the black man. Behind closed doors, they know about the Elijah Muhammad, Muhammad. They know these things. But they keep it from you, bad name them, with righteousness, and make like they the bad guy when all the time they were showing you nothing but true love. I want you to have it too. This can fix anyone, but the glove was made, designed for us, so that we can take our place in a society that is way higher learning than theirs. Even be much better than theirs. Anytime you see a small hands of fugitives who built their own little township, and were doing beautiful. Just with that little. But the Bible said, mustard seed, the Holy Quran said, salad and ink. Just have that much faith and understanding and love for your brother and sister. To really have peace. Not just talk peace. And you turn around the next day, you bomb, kill. That's not no peace. What kind of treaty do you all writing down that we know in your history that my name blood enemy call y'all false tongue, liars? You broke every treaty that you gave to the Native American that allows you not to teach what the 21 million that must be saved, the 19 of black and the 2 million of Indians. This is not teaching you talk about. Mistreating, misleading, corruption, murder and kill, children, grandparents, they slaughter everyone. Because we see that flag, bloodshed all over the whole country. We're walking on top of blood right now. Your house is built on top of blood. This government is built on top of blood. Because that's how they had to have it built. The one killed, the one that built. And that's why you see what's going on with protesting. But again, they're going the wrong way. With no understanding of why they're doing it. So when the next outcome from this, I wrote down monument yesterday. Go pick up my medicine. It's kind of weird, right? But you don't see no statue. The statue's gone. I like, wow. No praise to God. It was strange, weird looking at seeing it. But I understood it. But I look at it, it don't mean nothing because you got to change the behavior of the people. The statue is just something that just give you a glimpse of their past, of what they was doing, and what kind of hero they believe in. And still do. But I saw it, like it was weird, but it's okay. But it don't change nothing. Only thing I see what you're doing, you're making them really get mad. In other words, I'm not going to say the language, but they really kind of ticked off. How about that? That's not a good sign. Anytime you can just go to a supermarket or go to a gas station and you watch how they look at you kind of strange when you see this evil present, you feel. You can feel the tension in the air. You know, you go in the store, you're riding down the street, and you see them, they look at you, but they see that you are, that must be one, what Jim would say, one of them upper niggas. You know, one got themselves together, know who they are, and know who we are. And they know that. And you can see the look on their face that I want to hang you. I want to kill you, look. Because that's what they're all about. That's what they are. That's their nature. But it was made. But like Mom said, I know the very journey that made you. You can talk that crap. Well, we know where you come from. Us. And where you going? Straight to hell in the servant. You know, minister talk about these things all the time. You make it clear through the teaching on us, man. And he's going to carry y'all out deeper into the teaching, like a father made. I look up to him, I listen to him, I learn from him. As I came today, I was like dragging. You know, I was worn out, I'm telling you. But after you get going and you feel a lot come over you, you know, he'll pick you up, you know. Right? Because I was dragging. I'm being truthful. You know, and that's why, you know, love, that's what I'm you know, well, out there, I don't know what I did. Probably here, like the minister said, here and dead. But he wanted to care about further teaching of the judgment. I mean, yes, of the university, corruption. This Kamau is our minister of our temple. You want to get a lot deeper as I came to reach out. That's why they're going to give me a great report.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Again, before we continue on, we thank Brother Captain Hakeeme Muhammad, bringing out the introduction to Messenger Muhammad's teaching, the judgment on universal corruption. So once again, we thank him for bringing out that information, letting us know what time we live in and what we should be all about in this day and time. Because we're in the judgment, been going on for some time, and it's a universal corruption That's been going on for a long time. But what is the place of the so-called American Negro in this time of judgment as well as in this time of universal corruption?
Mm-hmm.
So we open in the name of Almighty God Himself in person, Master Farad Muhammad, and His last messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We greet thee, beloved brothers and sisters in the nation's greetings of peace in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Universal corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a reference to what's going on all over the planet Earth.
Yes, sir.
Master Muhammad says, hasn't been any problems with the rest of Allah's creation. Because everything and everybody obeys what Allah has put them here to obey. But right on our planet Earth, the God planet, is where the trouble is. And when we look at the word corruption, most of the time we think about something in the way of a person who's a politician, who's a liar, a cheat, a thief, and sometimes even a cutthroat. But the very one who's doing the wrong would make you think that he or she is the victim, and they flip it around and make you who are being done wrong too think that you are the criminal.
Mm-hmm.
They flip the script.
Yes, sir.
So why in this day and time does Allah's last messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, teach us on the subject on universal corruption? And it's under the main title, The Judgment. A judge is somewhere involved here, because you can't have a judgment without a judge.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody. Mm-hmm. And in the white man's civilization in this day and time, it could be male or female. Right. Why? Because a person or a figure must be there to preside over the actions that are occurring. Looking at the history of how judges become judges in this civilization, they don't just start from the top. Many, before they became judges, were lawyers. And when you become a lawyer, you got to spend a lot of time in school studying. And you go longer than the average person who goes, 4 years for a 4-year college or 2 years for a community college? But judges have to study long and hard. Mm-hmm. And when they study, they know what they are coming to the knowledge of, but they take a greater study as they come into the knowledge of what they know. That's when they become wise in their knowledge. And then after they become wise in what they know, then they go into a higher level called understanding. Does not the scripture say everybody should be able to do that in this day and time? Because it says, get ye knowledge, get ye wisdom, but in all of your getting, get understanding.
That's right.
Why is understanding so important? It's because once you know something, you learn the proper application of what you know. That's what you call wisdom. Knowing how to put it in the right place. And then once you put it in the right place, you got to understand what you did, so you go back to it again and again and draw from it.
That's right.
Judges have libraries full of books, not just on one level. Go upstairs sometimes 2 or 3 levels. And they call somebody to bring down a certain book because the case they are trying, that's being tried in their court, is similar to something that went on maybe 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years ago. Yes, sir. And they want to know how was it resolved 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Go up there and get that book and bring it down. Let me study it. So when the lawyers come up here from the opposing sides, they're going to argue their case on behalf of who? Their client. In fact, they have to get permission from the judge. They say, Your Honor, may I approach the bench? If the judge gives them okay, they come up there. Sometimes they don't want their client to say nothing because they say, you keep quiet, I got it under control. The opposing lawyer will do the same thing. But the judge has to look at what this lawyer says and what that lawyer says and try to compare what's being stated and then make a conclusion based on those comparisons. Sometimes the court is not something that the judge decides by himself or herself. They have a pool of people sitting on the side and they call them what? The jury. Tell them to listen carefully to the arguments that are being made.
Yes, sir.
They said, well, don't make a decision now. Go into the jury room, talk it over amongst yourselves, and come back and tell me, the judge, what you have concluded. What's your verdict? So all of this has taken place in the past. But now, what about the judge that's on the scene today? This is not a judge like the corrupt ones of the white race or any other group of people who got judges. This judge does not take bribes under the table or over the table. This judge is a just judge.
Yes, sir.
He judges rightfully between the righteous and the wicked, between the good and the no good.
Yes, sir.
And if you come to this judge's court, you don't just fake telling the truth, the whole truth, and none but the truth, but you must tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And you hope the judge will help you in telling what you got to tell. Already people are, they already like to know. Now, universal judgment. As Muhammad brings out of the Holy Quran, chapter 30, verse 41. And he states what the Quran states. Corruption has appeared in the land and the sea on account of that which men's hands have wrought.
That's right.
Then it states that he being capital, God, he may make them taste a part of that which they have done, so that they may return. God himself, the just judge, he's looking at a situation of corruption. Brother Captain mentioned many times before that word corruption. How does that come about? It has appeared in the land and the sea. I mean, you can walk around. Corruption here, corruption there, corruption almost everywhere. Get on the waters. Go to another part of the earth. Corruption on the waters and corruption on the next land you get to after you get off the water. Why is there so much corruption? Because people don't want to do what Almighty God himself teaches has to be done. They say parents against each other, mothers against fathers, fathers against sons, daughters against mothers, children against children. Why are people so much against one another? There was a question asked of the messenger back in 1972 when he was speaking in Chicago on a Sunday on the Theology of Time series. After he had finished the lecture, he opened the floor for questions. And a so-called Negro woman got up to ask the messenger a question. She said, I hear what you said, and now, according to my studies, this is what she said. And the messenger right away, according to her studies, the bell went off. She said, what you said don't go along with what I was studying. She said, because I see from my studies that we got to love everybody. The messenger right away, she must have been under something like a Martin Luther King type stuff. The messenger let her go on, what's your question, sister? She said, well, what's your definition of love? Now that mama said, well, one thing about love, there must be agreement. Because he says, if there's no agreement, you can't find too much in the way of what you would call love there. Husband and wife, brother and sister, aunt, cousin, niece, nephew. There has to be some agreement somewhere involved if you're going to talk about love. And then the woman must have didn't catch it because she was still trying to come at the messenger as if he was representing something to all of us that didn't have anything to do with love. Because according to her studies, you know, most of our people, they say that, they ain't talking about what they got from a black person. But they got it from a black person. They got it from a black person who's been trained thoroughly by a white man. And the messenger understood this. He let her go on. Well, you got to have everybody included when you talk about what you're saying. The messenger let them know now. Oh, I see. You want to include your blue-eyed devil. And here the believers in the audience, they were just clapping and say, yes, they were letting the messenger know. That's what she wants you to say. All white folks, like anybody else, can come on in and be a part of what you're teaching. And then we'll have love and unity. The message said, no, God don't teach that. God has enemies, right? True. Doesn't the Bible say he wasted whole nations? If these were his friends, you wouldn't want to see his enemies. Because they say he wiped these nations out so much that some places you can't even find a blade of grass. Right? Sodom and Gomorrah, ancient Egypt, Babylon. And yet, when these places were destroyed, even they say, according to the story they give you, when God told Noah what had to be done, get your family and whoever going to agree with you and get on the boat, because everything else will be gone.
That's right.
So if God loved them people, you would hate to see one of them that he hates. Right? Universal corruption. Corruption. Mean what? Somebody has done something that's so low down, so evil, so treacherous, that it has spread far and wide, all over the place. Yes, sir. Started off small, but it grew into a monster. And then it tells you how it came about. No spook, spirit, or ghost caused corruption, but it appeared on the land and the sea by the fact that certain men, and we can also include women, they brought this corruption about. They stole from people. They lied to people. They cheated people. Would you expect a civilized nation to have millions of people homeless? How did that corruption come about? Because some landlords charged so much for where people were living at, knowing that the people didn't have that kind of money to pay rent or mortgage, and the landlord didn't care. So what they do? If you can't pay what I'm asking you to pay, you can't live in my house or my apartment. So what the people gonna do? They don't want to kill themselves. So they take whatever they got there, a little bit of and put it in a little grocery cart and roll up under the bridge and try to make a living under the bridge. Corruption. You find out that the devil, to build his wicked civilization, brother mentioned, he set it up based on corruption. And when you see a big city like New York, or somewhere over in west side of the country called California, tall skyscrapers, you have to strain your neck just to look up to the top. They were all basically built on what? Corruption. Because no one was treated fairly in the building of these buildings, these towns, these cities. You walk all through America, the south, the north, the east, and the west. A few people got a little money, a whole lot of money, and a whole lot of people got a little money. And this whole system is based on corruption. I was looking at a program one day, and the sister who put together When They See Us, never saw the whole movie, but I saw bits and pieces of it. Her name, Dubé, something like that. Anyway, they would question her, and the she-devil said, oh, you know, the system is corrupt. The system needs to be fixed. She said, hold it. I don't agree with you. She said, what do you mean? He said, the system has always been corrupt. It's never been built any other way. She said, don't talk about the system needs to be fixed. The system needs to be changed because the one you're talking about has always been built that way. We've been here 400 years under the devil, plus slavery, suffering, and death. And God himself, the just judge, he's judging between what his kingdom is all about and what the wicked kingdom is all about. We talked not long ago about how they put that story in the Bible about Solomon, the wise king, making a judgment between the two women based on what? Who should have ownership of the baby. Now, Solomon might not have known who was the biological mother of the baby, but he was making this judgment on the cases that were presented before him.
That's right.
Both of them claimed they wanted the baby or the baby belonged to them. Now, you know, it couldn't have belonged to both of them.
Right.
It might not have belonged to either one, you know, but the judge would know that. So the judge has to use wisdom in making a decision. The lawyers know the law, and they know how to go in and out of the law, and how much money you got depends on whether or not they can win your case.
That's right.
You could have been as guilty as hell, as guilty as sin, but as long as you got the money to keep pumping to them, they could convince the judge and override the other lawyer, and you can walk free. They had a case in America here recently. The court had found this white boy guilty twice. But the president overruled the court and said, let him out the jail. Right? Based on what? His position as president of the United States of America. Corruption has appeared on the land and the sea on account of those things which men's hands have wrought. 50,000 years ago, when the Savior taught the message about what happened in our nation, didn't even have no devil then. In the black nation. And the messenger made a conclusion based on what the Savior taught him. We had a complete fall. We said, how do we have a fall before the devil got here? The messenger said, well, let me explain to you. We allow the weaker of ourselves to rule. We're not working off the black germ, the germ that can keep things straight at all times. But we moving on trial the brown germ and let the judgment be settled based on the brown germ decision. The weak of ourselves. Because the black germ, the stronger of our family, he wanted all of us to get stronger and stronger. Because he could see what was coming down the road. They might have saw it, but they didn't care. They said, we all right. We got all we need. We got plenty of everything. You know, we don't see no need to improve. Let's stay where we at. Our brother secretary often states, he said, you know, sometimes when you ask a person something, they want to give you an excuse. He said, I don't need no excuse. And really, Excuses are for those who what? Make them.
Those who benefit, man.
And it's only good for those who make them.
Exactly.
Let's take another step. And the person who makes the excuse, the reason that it's good for him or her, because it shows everybody else have no good day off. That's the only reason it's good for them. Because when they begin to realize, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have did that, then they try to come back and apologize and get in more trouble. The little she beast up in New York was walking the dog, and the brother was bird watching. And he let her know, well, if you're going to be out here, you shouldn't have the dog. If you do, put the dog on the leash. And also, you should be mindful that you're in an area where birds are here. That's the law. The government has set the law up. They didn't want people to bring dogs through there and chase the birds and maybe eat the birds up.
Right.
Then you have to feed your purpose of having a place where you can watch the birds and take pictures of the birds.
That's right.
She gets smart because she thinks she's an authority. So what does she do? She gets on her phone and starts lying about the brother attacking her, and she thought that her brother then, the police force, would come to her aid because of the lie she told. But the truth was in what the brother said.
And
She
the
was
camera.
violating their law.
He found
And the thing is, she got fired from her job, and she also had to take the dog back to the dog place because the people who let her have the dog didn't think she was worthy of even taking care of the dog. Corruption, corruption, corruption. Now look at this situation now. Following the devil now, but following the weakness of ourselves over 50,000 years ago. And when the Savior told the messenger about the situation, the messenger concluded with right judgment, we allow the weaker of ourselves to rule. And then he put that in the making of the devil. He said it just didn't start with Yaakov on the island of Patmos, but things had to be right for Yaakov to come in to do what he did. But now we're talking about corruption all over the planet. Universal corruption. That which men's hands have wrought. You brought it about. You shaped it, you formed it, and you fashioned it. You put it there. And now you see the results. Corruption. And then it says, after this has happened, that he may make them taste a part of that which they have done. The he is capital in the Quran, the capital here is mentioned Blackman. That Allah, God may let you taste the part of that which you have done. How's he do it? He shows you the error of your ways. But some people don't want to see that error of their ways. Some people don't want to see anything that's going to give them the information to correct the situation that they're in. And then it says that when Allah allows a person to see the error of their ways and even taste, it didn't say He can make them taste all of it, because they may not can take it all. They may just take them all just like that. Taste a little bit of what you have done,
right,
for the purpose that you may return. The messenger told over 2,001 when he was in Chicago at the other time. He said some were with him, been with him a long time. Some bear witness to what he was teaching, all of the mountain. But word-wise, they weren't following him. He said, I could have just told him, get on up, I will lead you. He said, no. He said, Allah told me you are mine in the sense that He had the job, the message, of getting our people to their salvation. So why would He take people who haven't gotten to their salvation or got there and don't quite understand and playing ignorant, as long as they don't do that much to do damage to the people, so they may have a chance to get straight. Allah is beneficent and merciful.
That's right.
So why would He choose a messenger that's not beneficent and not merciful? But that does come upon in time when you have pulled your last string with Allah and the message. And that's when the rest of a year, so you can't get back. You might say you want to come back, but you really ain't trying to come back.
That's
But
right,
you had
that's
plenty
right.
of time to get ready to come back. So, ma'am out there today doing the very same thing. People say, I used to be in Islam. Well, you used to be in the temple, but you didn't quite understand. If you didn't violate the rules and laws of Allah and the message to the point that you can't be forgiven, it's a chance for you. But if you know you went out there and did everything that you shouldn't have done under the sun and don't have any interest in receiving Allah as the God that He is or His messenger, you done. Don't talk about coming back or maybe considering. It's all over for you and anybody who cares on that way. The message opens up this subject. He says, Allah, the all-wise, the best knower, who has knowledge of the past, present, and the future, revealed this above prophecy to Muhammad 1400 years ago. It was a prophecy. It was right there in Holy Quran. In the early days of Islam, when the message was just learning and many others up in Detroit, the Savior gave lessons to the ministers, captains, secretaries, and all the leaders later on got these things. Basic same lessons, because the Master made sure we got it. He gave us his test results. The Savior approved them. He said, if God approved these, okay for me to pass them up. I ain't putting that out here there, shaking them. God said they have been answered nearly very near correctly. If it's good enough for God, it's good enough for a servant. And then a crazy son of his who didn't study hardly nothing told the people, throw your lessons away and throw your books away. Because he had something that really wasn't even what Prophet Muhammad gave the people 1400 years ago. Prophet Muhammad didn't give them no Sunni Islam. He didn't give them no Shia Islam. He didn't tell them they had to be no Ansar group or the Wahibi or anything else like that. He said, be a Muslim. But now, if you meet one out in the street, they're glad to tell you, I'm Sunni Islam. I'm Shia Islam. So no, you're not Islam at all, because you disobeying Prophet Muhammad. Well, he's the last prophet. I said, if you think that, you should have stayed on the focus with what he taught you.
Right.
I mean, you ain't got a chance there. But we know he was the one for that day and time. But our message this day and time is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We have a chance if we take it. Now the message says, Allah gave this to Muhammad 1400 years ago. Most of them say it wasn't Allah. They said it was the angel gave it. And they say, you can't see Allah anyway.
That's right.
And they never tell you how the angel gave it to Muhammad. Muhammad tells you that it was God himself that gave him the book. Not put a book in front of him. But he met him over a period of 20 to 23 years in remote areas of Mecca and Medina. Doesn't the book say, when you open up chapters, revealed at Mecca, another chapter, revealed at Medina. And he said, one by no spook spirit or ghost float around from one city to the other to give a revelation to Muhammad ibn Abdul. So Muhammad, in truth, stated he never saw the God who gave him revelation. He heard his voice, and he didn't hear the voice in the same place at all times.
Each time, that's right.
So he had direction coming from the voice and instruction coming from the voice. That's right. Then the message says, this was done 1400 years ago. How? As though it were taking place during that time. As though it were taking place. But it wasn't. But Allah, Master of Muhammad, taught the messenger, this is how the revelation to Muhammad was given. And in this day and time, Allah, Master of Muhammad, told his ministers up in Detroit, before they started running all hypocritical and trying to run the messenger all and whatever they're trying to do. He said, for them to qualify to be good students to represent what he was teaching, he said they had to learn how to speak in 3 different ways. And we're not talking about this whole brag the English language. He said they had to learn how to speak in past, present, and future tense. Meaning what? You got to know what pertains to yesterday,
That's right.
today, and tomorrow. We were growing up, people used to say, you know, if you're going to be wise, you got to have hindsight. You know what happened before you got here. Where you going to get that from? If you weren't here. It got to be somebody who was around, you could ask them, tell you, right? They can give you the hindsight. Then if you got to have hindsight, you got to study what you know along with what they gave you and look at the condition that's present in front of you. That lets you know about insight. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And then you go a little further. Then you got to look into the future. And you call that what? Foresight. Hindsight, insight, and foresight. And then you're definitely on the road to understanding how to escape universal corruption. Know when it got started, know what's keeping it going, keep pumping it on, and what can end it in your life. And in the lives of everybody else, based on what? The judgment that Allah has set. The messenger says coming. He said the judgment has already been set. The judge gets up there, listen to the opposing parties in this civilization. Based on the information, he already made you make that commitment to tell the truth, the whole truth, and none but the truth. He said, because if you're not going to do that, don't come up here.
That's right.
So if you take that oath, you're supposed to do what you said you were going to do. So if one party is lying, or both parties are lying, the judge will make a decision based on the lie that's come from both of them. Our people love to get those shows on TV, Judge Judy and what the other one, Blackman, Joe Matt, somebody. In other words, it's very popular because the devil keeps them on. Even though some of them retired, they still put the repeats on there to show you what's going on. But in a just judge, like it says Solomon was, he made that decision between those 2 women. And what was the triggering point for him to make the decision? Based on the information that he had from them.
That's right.
And it came up with the point, arguing on the baby, who did the baby belong to. So at one point in time, he said, let's do this. Take a knife, split the baby into 2 parts. Since both of y'all claiming to be the mother, and both of them were. He didn't know which one was the mother. He might not have known if either one was the mother. But he made his decision based on what they were saying. So right away, one said, no, don't do that. You know, let her take the baby. The other one then said, let her take the baby. She can go with the one who said, let me take the baby. And that's when the judge made the decision. The mother of the baby will be rewarded to the one who didn't want the baby split in 2. Isn't that a just decision? That's right. Biologically, she might not have been the mother.
That's right.
But with the knowledge and the wisdom and understanding of what is right, she deserved to have the child. Right. Our people don't understand the wisdom that is in the scripture, Bible, Holy Quran, and anywhere else, because we have been under a man and a people over here who have raised us up under slavery, suffering, and death. Allah comes to raise us up under freedom, justice, and equality. So over here, we still act like a slave, we suffer like a slave, and we die like a slave. Mr. Muhammad says, Allah told him, let us not die unless we die the death of a Muslim, one who submits entirely to the will of Almighty God Himself.
Right.
If you look at the situation, as Brother Captain mentioned before, our people get all excited now about Confederate statues being removed and placed in some warehouse or somewhere else away from the public square. And they get joyous. Our people heard a lie from a president that they thought was an honest man right after the Civil War. His own brothers killed him, Abraham Lincoln. And when he said that he wanted to free our people, he lied there because he didn't free all of our people who were in captivity. Not even in the South. Some were still unloading the ships in New Orleans and
Still need to
seaports because they needed that to keep the commerce system going
Right.
in America. The northern ones had nothing like a taste of freedom. They were still under the white man of North. Some of our people thought that when Abraham Lincoln put that Emancipation Proclamation together, it was all over. Some of them didn't even learn about it until 2.5 years later.
Yeah, don't even mention Texas.
Some white boy drove on through to Texas and said, "Didn't y'all know? What
2
we
years
supposed to know?
ago.
Why y'all still picking cotton, tobacco, and corn and stuff? 2.5 years ago, President Abraham Lincoln set y'all free." They said, "Well, no." 2.5 years later, after the Emancipation Proclamation, and here comes a messenger on a horseback telling the people, "You done gave 2.5 years more of free slave labor to somebody that ain't even your slave master." The message says, when the white folks set us free, we should have made conditions said, "Why don't you give us what free people have?" When the white man who's a jailer tell the man or the woman who served their time in the jail,
That's right. Give the stuff.
Mr. So-and-so, you might call him by the slave name, Mr. Connors or Mr. Smith or Mr. Jones. All the time you were in jail, he didn't call you by no name, even what he put on.
Yeah, the number.
He called you by number. You know. But now he ain't talking about the number, he talking about who you call yourself before you went to jail. He said, you go back out there, some of them get a little money to catch a bus or something and get back to town or something. They might take you back. But our people didn't ask the white man for hardly anything when he so-called freed us. He said, some of them did down there in South Carolina, because when Sherman went running through there, burning down the plantations, Sherman did more in being a military man than who was Grant. Grant was up here in Virginia, playing with Robert E. Lee, back and forth, back and forth. So Grant was old drunk. Robert E. Lee probably knew he was. He said, on the night he's drunk, we can go ahead and change our course. And he may be here, we over here. So they played hide and seek in Virginia for a long time before Grant finally got Robert E. Lee to surrender. Sherman went marching down through the South with the torch, burning every plantation that he could find, because he was working for the Union too. But he made his pay. He did his work for his pay. But yet, Grant became the president. They thought he did so much. So anyway, they said when our people saw what was happening, they joined the Union Army to defeat the Confederates. And said they ran through the South so fast, and they burnt down a lot of Georgia and South Carolina. And the white boy was so happy that he didn't have to lose so many men in defeating the Confederacy. So he said, what do y'all boys want? As our forefathers. They said, it wouldn't hurt you too much. Could you just give us 40 acres of land and a mule? That's all y'all want. You got it. So what do you do? We had to pay for it, had to work for it. But all that land down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, all that, when they said, come over in Myrtle Beach time. But our people own all this coastline. I mean, they can have the fishing industry and this and that, whole lot of stuff. And then after they killed Lincoln, and then they had another president. They had an election. One from up north, his name was Rutherford B. Hayes, and the one down south was Tillman. The white folks, they never stopped the war. They still going on there. The statue and all this stuff is all about. And so what happened, they said when they counted the votes, the southern white man had just about more than the northern white man. So they struck a deal with each other. So Tillman said, I don't have to be the president of this country. If you do this for me, I'll back up and let you have it. He says, take all the Union troops out of the South so that the white man could be in control of the South. Because even our people were there under the Union troops. They set up educational system. They set up city system. All kinds of Wilmington, North Carolina, what you call Rosewood, Florida. So many places our people set up these little towns and big cities too. And they were running it by themselves, their own government. Coming off the plantation, we hadn't lost it all. We already knew how to build houses. Who built the plantation for the white boys? Black people. Who built all the furniture? Our people. And when he saw we were so smart and we was doing so much stuff, the white man up in Virginia, Henry Berry, he said, we can't have this here. We will work to close off every avenue by which light could enter into the slave's mind. In other words, he said, we're going to shut them down. He couldn't do it. Some of our people took the axe and little things they had down there and Tuskegee and cut out of the woods and set up a school, a trade school, teaching people how carpentry and cooking and mastering, all that stuff. Tuskegee Institute. Full Booker T. Washington got that. They had that one. White man was mad at us. He was mad at the red man down in Florida, the Indian. And some of our people joined the Indians, and they kept the white man off of their back for a long time. And who's this white boy? Andrew Jackson and some rest of them, they went there. And all the white army to run our people out that area or into Tulsa. Trail of Tears. You ain't got no shoes on, clothes on your back. Get out. They said, you're too uppity. Our people went out there in about 1920 and 23. The white man looked out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. We done built up our own city. Greenwood, Archer, and Pines. Streets run back into each other. Factories, banks, airplanes, schools, hospitals. You know, he thought we would have been out there dying on the desert. We done gone down there and discovered everything else. Everybody rich and nobody doing bad except white folks on the other side of the river. So they said, we're going to steal all the stuff that they got and then come in and burn the town. Which they did. Right. So it shows you we can do many things when we have a knowledge of who we are. And even if we sidestep ourselves for a little while, the Quran says that Allah can make you taste what you did. Don't just destroy you, but you got a chance to return. Our people say, well, the reason the white folks did that to us because we deserve it. What does the scripture say about God told Abraham, we will suffer and be afflicted under these people for what? 400 years. And then after that time, he would bring us out with great substance. So why would he bring us out with substance if we deserve to be under them for all this time? Something happened that we did 50,000 years ago. We are now the weak of ourselves to rule. Right. So you got a weak rulership, you ain't got the right standards you need to be going by. Yes. And the Holy Quran says you can get off the path, and Allah understands that He's a just judge. He can let you taste some of that which you have done. Then He don't knock you completely out of the creation. He allows you the possibility that you can return.
Right.
Now, it wasn't the 400 years up now people doing this, but they were up under the white man. They didn't know nothing about self-defense. self-defense as it should be. Someone has served in the white man's service, but that wasn't a part of the self-defense that they needed. The message stated in the, looking at the article on independence in the fall of America, he says how the white man got tops of the red man because he was off the path too. The other man had been off the path, the brown man. All the people on the earth have been off the path. But Yakub gave the white man a mighty weapon to destroy all of our people, called technology. Because he used technology for what? The entirety of his 6,000 years to cause the righteous to fight and kill one another and to trick our people from having their own civilized society. But Allah comes in, he don't do like the white man. The white man had to slaughter the red man, push him into the reservations and stuff like that. But the message said in that subject about independence, who's independent, he said Allah comes as a warrior and gives us the ammunition that we need to overcome the devil. He teaches us justice, and he teaches us what freedom and equality are about. It's on the board. Some people didn't think that was needed. Took the board down, or either while it took it down, and then a man come behind him, didn't have no need to put it up. But yet, he's still looking for freedom, justice, and equality without using the tools that are necessary to gain freedom, justice, and equality. You got to have knowledge of math, and science, and chemistry, and physics, and botany. Everything that Allah laid before us through the messenger, you're supposed to work with. Right? How could a few people who had little or nothing, coming up off a plantation, could hardly read or write, put their pennies, nickels, and dimes together and get thousands upon thousands of acres of land and buy farm equipment and set up temples all across the country, go across the border and set up international trade and commerce? The message said Allah promised him. He said, Elijah, if you will do what I teach you and get your people to do the same thing, it's a promise. It's going to be fulfilled. You will have money, good homes, friendships, and all walks of life.
That's right.
Freedom, justice, and equality. Love, peace, and happiness. That's agreement.
That's right.
And when Lazarina got up there with her so-called book learning from the white man, she made herself look so silly. And the other believers, when the message showed them, not that he was an attacker, but he showed them how what she was saying had nothing to do with salvation for us as black people, herself or any other black person.
Right.
And you could hear the thunderous roar of the believers in the audience. They would say, "Go ahead, Muhammad. That's why you our leader teaching that. But you know what you're talking about.
That's right.
And you know what you're doing." So those of our people who don't want salvation, stay out in hell. Keep catching. The message says, there's no doubt in anyone's mind today that the conditions of the nations of the earth is such that they need a ruler who is not involved in the present world of corruption. And since if you're not involved in the present world of corruption, you're qualified to bring about peace and goodwill among the people of the earth. One brother who was a policeman out in New York years ago, deceased him. He said that sometimes when the white folks would be spying on the nation, he eventually became a follower of the nation too. Humphrey. He said, and the devil sometimes when they get into their little sessions and back and forth, checking on the nation, what the nation all about. He said he remembered in one session, the devil said, "You got corrupt people all around Elijah. Elijah didn't corrupt them." And the devil admitted that years ago, you know. Said he got them all around him. And the message told us, he said that, yeah, you got to give that all, you sprinkle all through the nation. He said, but I'm not going to bind in the face to folks that allow the real. He said, because that's my salvation. And believe it or not, it's your salvation too.
Right.
So, at any rate, the devil will admit the truth when, you know, if push comes to shove. The message says they will admit the truth about the fall of their country. Not right away. Because it'll be right in the face of most of our people. They think that a miracle is going to make them come back.
That's right.
It's going to be a new normal. And the message said, and some white folks who even think that we gonna be ruling you again. They think they can throw Martin Luther King stuff out there, civil rights, and we don't mean no harm. We agree with Dr. King. I know they agree with him because they made him. Who made that fool except that white folks did? I mean, not that he wanted to be a fool, but the message says he might have been sincere. The devil asked the message, said, Mr. Muhammad, why they going that way and you going this way? The message said, they may mean well. Whitney Young, and A. Philip Randolph, and Baynard Russell, all these civil rights leaders. He said, they may mean well. He said, but this is what they don't have. They do not have a knowledge of the time we're living in, and they do not have a knowledge of what's going to be done in this day and time. Our people thought that a few years ago, if they could just go and get what white folks had in the schools, they could better themselves and they can improve their condition. White folks said now with the coronavirus, he don't know he can open schools back up. So when you sit there and get done, I ask somebody who knows something, ask dad and mama, aunt, uncle, they got enough knowledge to know how to put something up there until white folks decide if they're going to open it back up or how they're going to open it back up. So when you let the children sit around and just what? Go with nothing in the head and waste all their time because we waiting on the white man to figure out what he can do with his violence. You know, the Honorable Muhammad and years ago didn't have no textbooks and said didn't even have no money to even set up a school. He set aside 2 hours a day for the Muslim children to learn something. And the message told the brother who became the principal and some of the teachers, he said, don't go to a lot of detail, teach them the basic. What you need basic. They said years ago, people who working on the farm, what did they need for basic teaching? Reading, writing, and arithmetic. You gotta know how to read so can't nobody trick you. Know how to write so you can sign your name properly on the dotted line transaction. And you gotta know how to add and count. White man knew he didn't want us to know how to do that. Just like he said what?
Don't figure.
Don't figure behind me, nigga.
That's right.
In other words, you got the figures and you keep on figuring. You find out I done stole your land. I done stole your crop. I didn't pay you what you would do. He said, don't worry about that. Let me have it all. He used to put it down on the book. I mean, we were growing up in the neighborhood. If you go to the juice store, he got a book. Tell your mom and dad, here's a half a pound of bologna. And I know we used to see that devil stand up there, put the meat on the white wrapping paper, press his fingers down. Because he thought didn't think we saw the fingerprint. We was looking up there to see what the scale said. Scale said half a pound. He might have a quarter of a pound, and his thumb was gonna be the rest of it. And he figured that if we got home, his mom and dad would know because they didn't see him weigh it. And we would tell him, he didn't give no half a pound. He did something with his thumb on that while he was wearing it, and put it in white paper and put some they call it masking tape. Had a little black marker, a little red marker or something, and he put on that house color. So corruption all the way down the line. So if all this corruption and since it's all around, what does the just judge do? He puts a stop to the corruption. He teaches you what you need to know, which is Islam. Christianity is not going to take us out of this corruption. We need what? Mathematics, which is Islam, and Islam, which is mathematics.
That's right.
Because they work hand in hand.
Yeah.
They balance. Y'all know that Mama says? There cannot be peace for the lovers who seek after peace until the peace breakers have been removed from authority and their activities of mischief making, causing bloodshed, grief, sorrow, and trouble making among peace-loving nations. So how can you say now you go down the street with a sign, no justice, no peace? It's a true statement, but you got to put that in the right context too. Are you saying it like this? It's on the board. It says no justice, You know, you saying calm, no peace. It can mean two things. It can mean I can't be at peace with you and you can't be at peace with me because there is no justice.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way. Another way, you can say it's a proposition. If you want peace, you better render justice to me.
Mm-hmm.
It could be both ways. But how can our people know what justice is if they don't have knowledge of themselves, their God, their language, their religion, their way of life? Some of our people think that what they said they did to Jesus was justice. That's what they think, because the white men have fixed it all up. It's okay to kill somebody who said they something.
Right.
It's okay to hang them on the cross until they did, kill them and then stick them up on them. Where's their justice? Where's the justice in the lie they tell you about everybody who lived before Jesus was here didn't have a chance for salvation? That's what they said. What about people during the time of Moses and Abraham and Lot? All them people lived and died and they had no chance for salvation because God ain't never sent nobody named Jesus to die for your sin. So, I mean, who died for people's sin before Jesus got here? And then again, they said what? He even yanked it back and told the God that he said was his daddy, forgive them. But they don't know what they're doing. Well, they've been doing that. Experts are doing that. I mean, they should have degrees in killing people. All the people they have killed throughout the time they've been here. And if God says, this is what I want done, then why should anybody get in the way of the God who has made the decree? And that's what the white folks tell us, talking to Jesus, stop this dead. Don't do nothing to them. And prior to that, they said he done wasted nations. So if God can kill the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, God can kill the people who didn't get on the ark with Noah. Now all of a sudden, these ungodly people who were supposed to kill his son, he's going to kill them. So he had to go on back through time and just bring everything else out. Then everybody else come back, right? Because according to the son, dead was dead wrong. Well, he might have been dead, but dead was just wrong period. But why would our people accept such a religious teaching when it has nothing to do with freedom, justice, equality, love, peace, and happiness, and nothing to do with real judgment? People saying today that if the president of America can take a man who's been found guilty twice and pardon him, then all these billions of people in the jail should be able to walk free.
That's right.
Who's done much less than he did.
That's right.
The message says the only way you can get rid of universal corruption is you got to get rid of those who are universally corrupt or just plain corrupt, period. We said this in our conclusion. This satisfaction has reached such a percentage that it is bound to bring about a universal war, since the corruption is universal. So if corruption is universal, then what it produces, the war would also have to be universal.
That's right.
Does not the scripture say, when the God comes, he be called the Son of Man? What would happen? Three major things. The Son of Man would come, the nations would mourn, the infidels would get angry, and the heathen would rage. They go get all other shit. They call the old rabies dog. Just get away from the dog. We call that rabies. Don't let him bite you. And that's how the white man's world is, and those who follow him. They just growling out and odor because they're so upset by what they put out here, and the effect it's having not only on them, but on everybody else on the planet. And they can't function like they used to when it wasn't widespread like
That's
that.
right.
But now, since it's universal, you can't go nowhere and not bump into it, Holly, unless you find someone who's at peace with himself and his brothers and sisters. But outside of that, everything else is totally out of whack. So we has to duck and dodge all this stuff and walk through it. They said the prophet David even said, "What? God is the one that I need. Without God, I want nobody else. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. God is with me, and I will dwell in the house of Allah forever." I saw that.
Well, they can salon, sir.